Coming up next is the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night. And we have a lot for you this week, including an exclusive interview, part one of a two-part interview with Sgt Slaughter, the WWE legend, Sgt Slaughter, coming up in a few moments right here on the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson standing alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout Hall of Famer hero. And it's time to talk about WWE Money in the Bank, which is this Sunday on pay-per-view. As a matter of fact, it's Be the Booker for Money in the Bank, where we take a look at the announced matchups and show you how the Booker man over here would have it go. The first matchup is the Money in the Bank match for the Raw Championship contract, the WWE Championship match contract, and all participants in this matchup are former WWE champions. Let's go down the list. Big Show, Kane, Y2J Chris Jericho, and John Cena, four men competing in this Money in the Bank match.
This match here proves to me that John Cena doesn't trust anybody else to hit him with a ladder, with the exception of the three veterans on the Raw brand. If you really think about it, there's nobody young, no one that's looking to be hungry to go to that next rung, if you will, to battle this match. Big Show could be a favorite to win. Kane, not so much. Chris Jericho needs this victory more than anybody else of the four. But if the plan is to eventually somehow get John Cena to challenge CM Punk for the championship, if Punk can survive this Money in the Bank match, John Cena needs to win. Otherwise, how do you get them there? How do you get John Cena versus CM Punk possibly at SummerSlam?
Does, for fan acceptance, John Cena need a legitimate route back into a championship match?
Absolutely.
And this could provide that.
Because if John Cena just comes out on Monday Night Raw and challenges CM Punk and he gets it, they're going to hate John Cena even more. But if he earns it, if he gets the briefcase, well, now you never know what's going to happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be Big Show versus CM Punk at SummerSlam, and let's say Big Show can win, then Cena cashes in there. This is all as a way to keep the Cena Show feud going while also getting John Cena back into the championship title picture.
A matchup that is arguably forgotten about by many people, including me, because I don't feel it's got the support and hype behind it that it should have, being a World Heavyweight Championship matchup. Sheamus defends against Alberto Del Rio, who is probably the problem in this match.
Both of these guys, of course, are super friends, and it's going to be a...
Speaking of super friends, look at all this Nelson family love here. Big Show, Y2J, Daniel Bryan, Christian Santino, Dolph Ziggler.
That's fine. I got all the studs. Del Rio and Sheamus, I think, is going to be a great match. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. Right now, Del Rio has a new, more aggressive edge to him. Sheamus is the brawler, the bro kick against the armbar. I like Alberto Del Rio to somehow win. Not leave as champion, but maybe due to an injury or a countout or whatnot, Del Rio gets a victory. He defeats Sheamus. Like I said, it doesn't have to be for the championship, which then keeps this program, this match going next month into SummerSlam. Because right now, this here is a great feud to have on the SmackDown brand.
Down the road, if it gets some steam behind it, because it ain't got none now.
There's a ton of steam. If you watch SmackDown,
I watched it last night.
Yes, I know you did.
I saw the world's greatest tag team. The new world's greatest tag team.
I was going to say, they're in Ring of Honor.
The World Wrestling Entertainment Championship on the line as CM Punk defends against Daniel Bryan in a match many of us as wrestling fans would love to see happen week in and week out. It is on a pay-per-view stage. It is at Money in the Bank. And the one wrinkle in this matchup, the one reason why there may be or will be shenanigans in this matchup is the special guest referee, AJ.
You're calling AJ a wrinkle? Are you kidding me? She is the brightest star on the Raw brand right now.
Starlight Starbright?
She has been given so much time, so much investment, so much shenanigans That's great for AJ. I just hope she stays out of this match. Let DBD and CMP do their thing all over the place. Let them have a tremendous match, back and forth, high spots, low spots, ring spots, everything they want to do. Let these guys have a match. Let AJ just make the final 3 count. We know she's going to get more involved in that. I hope she doesn't. But in the end, CM Punk is going to leave still the WWE champion.
AJ's not showed alliance with either of them, especially after this past Monday's Raw.
Of course not. Why would she? She's a pretty crafty woman. Believe me, they rule the world. They are far smarter and superior than we are.
Who are you flirting with?
I'm just being honest.
Well, it's different honesty than you had a couple of weeks ago about that same particular topic.
Well, yeah, because, of course, behind the fall of every man is a woman. That's because they're smarter than us. They know what's going on.
The SmackDown version of the Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen, is what I think is the highlight of the night on this pay-per-view Money in the Bank. It will be 8 participants vying for an opportunity to get the WWE World Heavyweight Championship contract in that briefcase. Here are the participants, ladies and gentlemen. Christian, the Intercontinental Champion. Santino, the United States Champion. Tyson Kidd, Sin Cara added this past Monday night. Damian Sandow, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes, and Tensai. 8 talents that are going to deliver in this ladder match.
They are going to deliver. It's going to be fantastic. There is going to be car crashes all over this match because you have a lot of high flyers, guys that take high risks. But at the end of the day, I honestly believe, even though that they're the darlings of this match, Ziggler and Cody
will win. Thank you.
No, they're
How
not.
can 2 people
Listen,
win?
They're not going to win. They're going to cancel each other out. You saw the dissension last night.
A little bit.
Okay.
I've called them both.
It sets the tone for the pay-per-view. I think Sandow is going to star. I think he's going to be fantastic. But the guy who's going to leave the Money in the Bank winner is the one no one's expecting. That's Lord Tensai.
Oh, wait. Is that really?
Seriously, why not?
There is no way John Cena is going to win the Raw Money in the Bank matchup and Tensai is going to win the SmackDown Money.
Listen,
Look,
no.
I don't want to listen because you're just flawed in your logic here. You're picking Tensai because he's your boy. And you want to get some cool points by picking him when you know good and dang well that there are better talents to win this particular type matchup in this match.
There might be better talents to win, but right now you want to see Cody against Sheamus or Ziggler against Sheamus. I want to see Tensai and Sheamus. That right there is money. It means more at this time. Listen, I'm confident that Team Super Friends will dominate Money in the Bank.
No, they won't.
That I'm willing to make a little wager with you.
$1?
You have your little Nelson family crest T-shirt, whatever it may be. Yes.
Recognized symbol of excellence in professional wrestling.
Yes, it's pretty. You got a very pretty T-shirt there. If the Super
Look at this amateur hour.
If Team Super Friends scores more points than Nelson family, I know you got some men's sizes in that T-shirt, not all these, kid sizes.
They're fitted.
I will wear one next week on Primetime. But if Team Super Friends wins,
take this now.
If Team Super Friends wins, you're wearing one of my shirts on Primetime as well.
Do they make them in my size? It's medium?
Yeah, we have a ladies large. I'm sure that'll fit you just fine.
What color marker are you using this week?
Green, the color of money.
WWE Money in the Bank this Sunday on pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have your coverage after the show with the post-show. But there's still so much more to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night, including right after this time out, Sgt Slaughter. Sgt Slaughter, first time appearing on this program. It's going to be our guest in just a moment. Right now, right here for the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night.
Maggot.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night right here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. And relative to our guest in just a moment, we are rather insignificant. He is a man who is synonymous with professional wrestling and a man who is making his first appearance here on the Pro Wrestling Report. And he's going to talk to you a lot about his ties to Milwaukee. And you might be surprised where he had his very first wrestling matchup. Let's go now to Sgt Slaughter here on the Pro Wrestling Report primetime. Damian Nelson here at Capco Park in Mequon, Wisconsin, and that's less important than the person I am standing with, the legendary Sgt Slaughter. Sgt Slaughter, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report, and welcome back to the Milwaukee area.
Take me out to the ball game.
Batter up. You've spent a lot of time here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Why don't you share with all of our viewers out there on My 24 your favorite memory of Milwaukee, whether it be down at the Mecca Arena or even at the Bradley Center or even here at the Chinooks game tonight?
Yeah, well, I had the honor of wrestling the Crusher.
Oh, the Crusher.
Early in my career, and that was a real big deal for me at the old auditorium.
Yeah.
But my biggest memory is that my first professional wrestling match was in Rice Lake, Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah, a guy named Paul Pershman, who ended up being Buddy Rose.
Yeah.
He and I were in training camp together with a few other guys, and Vern Gagne decided that we were ready and called us both into his office and said, "Get in your car, you're going to Rice Lake, Wisconsin, you're going to have a rookie match." And he said 10 minutes, first one that wins, or whoever wins the most falls in 10 minutes is the winner, and I won three falls, and he didn't get any, so I was on my way to being a professional wrestler.
In Rice Lake, see, Wisconsin, you talk about the Crusher, Milwaukee, you know, they talk about the beer that made Milwaukee famous. Well, the Crusher is the wrestler that made Milwaukee famous. And
I grew up watching that. That's what made me a fan, was watching the AWA and the Crusher and the Mad Dog and Vern Gagne. And
absolutely.
It was great.
And, you know, things would blossom from there. You would go on to actually be a part of many wrestling events, but a lot of people like to talk about the WrestleMania 7 main event. It was you versus Hulk Hogan, and it was at a time where our country is at war. And Sgt Slaughter had aligned himself with the other side. That was so opposite of everything you had been and everything you had done for all of your career. How did that feel for you, being, I guess, representing the other side in that matchup?
Well, I left the WWE right before the first WrestleMania to go join forces with Hasbro Toys and become the real American hero, the first living G.I. Joe character in there.
Because knowing is half the battle.
And knowing's half the battle. Exactly. You're a great fan. So I couldn't be in the WWE and do Hasbro and G.I. Joe at the same time, conflicting toy companies. So I decided to go. I could always be a wrestler, can always be a G.I. Joe. So when I got done, Vince McMahon knew my contract was over, called me up and said, "You ready to go back to work?" And I said, "Yes." And I thought, well, he's going to take, you know, G.I. Joe, the real American hero, and take him where it should go. And he said, "Meet me at my home." And I met him the next day, and he had this idea of me being an Iraqi sympathizer, which was completely the opposite of what I believed in. But he said, "Go home and think about it. Talk to your family, because it's going to be a rough go." And right at the time the overtake had happened, and that's kind of the way we want it. We went that direction, and we stayed with it until the war broke out. Right. And we backed off and asked for my country back. And,
and that you were immediately welcomed back by the fans. It was almost like it never happened.
Yes, it was. I went out and did a promo in Boston, Massachusetts, and asked for my country back, and I ended up singing "God Bless America," and everybody stood up and sang with me. And
awesome.
And they welcomed me back, and they recognized that it was all for entertainment. And I've always been an American, love America, and this is my home, and it was entertainment.
The legendary Sgt Slaughter, David Hero, talking about WrestleMania 7. Of course, the WrestleMania
knocked you over, didn't it?
Ah, we were fine. We're fine. Oh. Wait till you see next week, part 2 of that interview, where we talk about some of the other roles he's had in WWE, including his backstage role and his current role with World Wrestling Entertainment as well.
It would be nice if you would invite the other Hall of Famer to be with a Hall of Famer once in a while. You do all these shenanigan things on all by yourself.
He explicitly stated that he wanted you nowhere near him. There's heat, apparently. I don't know why.
Of course there is.
Thank you very much to Sgt Slaughter and for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Report. You can see part 2 of that interview next week right here on Prime Time. But now it's time to go into talking about TNA and TNA Wrestling and Impact Wrestling this week, which a lot of people didn't get a chance to see, David Hero.
Well, if you have DirecTV, you didn't get a chance to see it. I mean, my good God, could TNA, God bless them. I mean, they just get put in the most awkward situations, and they have no control over it.
They're a victim of circumstance at times.
Absolutely.
And what happened, ladies and gentlemen, is, in case you haven't heard, DirecTV and Viacom, parent company of Spike TV, having a bit of a dispute over, well, about $1 billion. And as a result of them not being able to come to an agreement, Viacom programming pulled off of DirecTV only. That includes Spike TV, meaning for several days this week, including on Thursday during Impact Wrestling, DirecTV subscribers did not get a chance to see the show. We had to cancel the party at Karma because they're a DirecTV subscriber.
But fortunately, we had a huge party tonight at Karma for the Ring of Honor pre and post show.
With Linda Kay.
Linda Kay.
Oh, the post show's still to come. Actually, it's starting right after the show.
After the show, absolutely.
But in light of all that, while obviously as of this taping, which is happening Thursday before Impact, we don't know what happened on Impact. And it's going to be a strong week, that's for sure. We know Joseph Parks and Bully Ray are going to start the program. We also know that there will be heavy focus on the brand new TNA World Champion, Austin Aries. For those of you that don't know, Austin Aries from right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship this past Sunday at Destination X on pay-per-view, defeating Bobby Roode in a tremendous wrestling matchup. A bit of a surprise, though, to many of the wrestling fans, including myself, that Austin Aries, while he has the talent to do it, but that he did win that World Championship this past Sunday at Destination X.
And they had a absolutely tremendous match. Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. It was a clinic. The crowd was into it. I mean, there were so many Austin Aries chants, it was ridiculous. It almost reminded me of the time, and I'm not comparing the wrestlers to be the same, but a similar scenario, where Rob Van Dam cashed in his Money in the Bank against John Cena, and how...
At One Night Stand?
At One Night Stand.
ECW's
and
version.
just how that entire building was cheering for RVD. That's how it was in Orlando, as they were all cheering for Austin Aries.
And it was a case where the fans wanted it. The fans wanted Austin Aries to win this title. And there's a reason the fans wanted it, because many times we as fans give ourselves too much credit. TNA built Austin Aries to that moment on Sunday night at Destination X. Something they have been accused of, even by us, of not doing so well in the past. They did it brilliantly and perfectly with Austin Aries.
Well, last year at DX, he came in without a contract. He wins the contract and does nothing but do amazing things. For a straight year, defeats Bobby Roode. And you know what? As big of a fan as I am of Bobby Roode, and yes, he's a super friend. Yes, I lost points. The cool thing is now there's all new matchups. You can have Austin Aries versus Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries versus James Storm, Austin Aries against Ken Anderson, Kurt Angle. It's a whole new way of being creative with the talent they have currently in TNA Impact Wrestling.
And in light of our Sgt Slaughter interview exclusive that we had just earlier in the broadcast, we didn't talk about Raw from this past Monday night, but we did on Monday Night Meltdown, our radio show, which can be found at pwrshow.com. But you look at the comparison of the shows, and arguably you could say that TNA has been putting on a better product over the last 7 days than WWE has.
Well, yeah, because Monday Night Raw it absolutely sucked Monday night.
It was horrible. That's all that needs to be said about it. We're still talking TNA.
Talk about it.
Bobby Roode, what's next for him? He is no longer the TNA champion. You got to imagine he's going to be looking for that rematch with Austin Aries.
Yes, and maybe now Bobby Roode will kick it into the next gear for him, being more aggravated, more angry, more devious, more spiteful, finding other creative ways to pull off a cheap victory. But then you got to wonder about James Storm. I mean, James Storm is still a favorite to win the Bound for Glory series. Does Bobby Roode, does he now go into the Bound for Glory series to try to get a shot at Bound for Glory?
Here's what gets me excited. All those questions you just asked. When is the last time we've been able to sit at this very table and talk about the intrigue built within TNA storylines going forward?
When Hulk Hogan came into the company 2 years ago.
It's a good thing, folks. It's a good thing for everyone as wrestling fans. It's a good thing for TNA. It's a good thing for WWE. While they had an abysmal Raw this past Monday night,
and they're
going to turn that corner come 1,000.
Who would have thought Austin Aries would be the guy that could create all the buzz about TNA Impact
Wrestling? A man who literally walked away from the business some year and a half ago and then came back in with a fresh attitude, fresh mindset, and is now the TNA World Champion. Let's not forget as well, brand new X Division Champion crowned at TNA Destination X, that Enzima Ion. Lots of X Division talent featured on that program. You can find out all of our thoughts in detail about the entire pay-per-view by checking out the post-show from the Pro Wrestling Report of TNA Destination X, available right now at pwrshow.com. Well, David Hero, there's so much more to talk about here in the Pro Wrestling Report, including WWE SmackDown from last night, where we saw one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling formed, and Ring of Honor, which is in Milwaukee at this very moment. All that still to come, along with That Guy's Star of the Week, here in the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night, right here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside Samoa Joe, and it's time to go.
I do not have a mohawk.
What?
I have no mohawk.
Why would you have a mohawk?
I'm not angry.
Why would you
and I'm
be
not
angry?
Samoan. You call me Samoa Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I call you Virgil?
Really?
Never.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I never have.
It's time to go to this week's SmackDown Report, ladies and gentlemen. And SmackDown last night was not necessarily known as SmackDown. It was Zackdown, if not for one night only, because the general manager, the acting general manager of SmackDown, was not the anonymous Raw general manager Hornswoggle, but Zack Ryder.
Wait. Would it still be anonymous since we know it's Hornswoggle?
It should have remained anonymous.
I agree, absolutely.
Zack Ryder in charge of SmackDown, and he made some tremendous matchups, some meaningful matchups. However, you got to question the meaning a little bit of the matchup that was the main event. Sheamus defeating Chris Jericho in what was an excellent wrestling match.
Those two guys stole the show for SmackDown. You may have loved your world's most favorite loving tag team.
The greatest tag team ever created?
Yeah, but Sheamus and Jericho rocked SmackDown. They did a fantastic job. Sheamus with the big victory. Not too sure why they put Jericho in that spot, considering he's being showcased in the Raw Money in the Bank.
Along with three other guys.
But here's what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
Well, if you don't have the USA Network and you can only watch SmackDown on cable, maybe it was a way of reminding the fans that watch only SmackDown that Chris Jericho is still there. Is it maybe a hint that Jericho could win Money in the Bank?
Well, is it that, or is it more so a reminder of the fact that Jericho, basically, since he came back to WWE, hasn't won many matches?
Well,
and he lost again to Sheamus this past Friday.
What have I always said? It's always right in our face as to what's going on.
Like your contract being terminated?
That's fine. You still got to pay me.
The world's greatest tag team ever created in the history of professional wrestling debuted last night on SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen. Both
Hogan
men, former champions. Dolph Ziggler teamed with Cody Rhodes last night, and it was tag team synergy. It was just absolutely amazing as they defeated Christian and your boy Santino.
Well, Santino is on the Nelson family, so I guess...
Well, he's a champion. Why wouldn't he be? He's going to get me all kinds of points this Sunday.
You know
Speaking of points, you do realize you're the first person in the Pro Wrestling Report draft to score negative points at the end of a pay-per-view, which you did at Destination X.
Am I still in first place?
You're ahead by 100 points, yeah, but you're going into it, you're ahead by almost 200 points.
That's fine.
Cutting it down. I don't believe in poll results. They don't matter.
Ziggler and Cody Rhodes showcase for Money in the Bank.
Absolutely they did.
So why would those two guys be on the same team going into Money in the Bank?
Well, they're huge.
And winning? It's going to set up dissension between Dolph and Cody.
Bit.
Yes, and then going to Money in the Bank, those two guys might be battling it out. They might cost each other.
Look, I will guarantee you something right now, much like Vince McMahon guaranteed everything back in the late 90s. I guarantee you, there goes that word again. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you that Cody Rhodes will be walking out of Money in the Bank this Sunday night on pay-per-view, contrary to what you picked, this Sunday night on pay-per-view with the Money in the Bank briefcase and within it the contract for a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity where he will cash in and win. Now, the last time I made this guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, The Miz won Money in the Bank. And The Miz cashed in and became the WWE champion. And The Miz headlined WrestleMania. I guarantee you. That's really all that needs to be said about SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen. And David Hero, Ring of Honor. Right down the road from us right now.
We need to hurry
at Turner
up
Hall.
Because we're missing the main event. Obviously, we're going to be late for the post-show party at Karma tonight.
Ring of Honor, a little controversy, though, stirred up during Destination X and actually last week on Impact as one half of their tag team champions, Kenny King, defected to TNA. Lots of stories coming out on this from both sides of the camp. Ring of Honor's side saying that they had a verbal agreement with Kenny King to re-sign a contract with Ring of Honor Wrestling. and had him with one half of the tag team championships. Kenny King saying it was a verbal agreement. He never signed anything. He never even gave his word that he was going to sign it, and notified Ring of Honor that he would be appearing live on Impact last week, which he did. But this has really put some turmoil into Ring of Honor Wrestling, who now is holding a tournament to determine the new tag team champions.
This is actually probably good for Ring of Honor because it's creating buzz about their tag team division. I'm not too sure on the details as to what all went down. It's very kabuki-ish. At the end of the day...
The Great Kabuki?
Yes. You
know,
no.
No. He didn't leave Ring of Honor.
He spits out the green mist.
The Great Buddha.
But Kabuki started it.
Tajiri.
Yes. God bless you. But listen, it's created a whole new buzz for the Ring of Honor Wrestling and their tag team division. It's good for business. Are the All Night Express going to be missed in Ring of Honor Wrestling? Maybe not.
Was it good for business for Ring of Honor to put their tag team championship belts on somebody who did not have a contract with the company?
But sometimes they do that in ways of hoping that the person's going to, re-sign quicker.
Olive Branch?
Yes.
Well, Ring of Honor in Milwaukee tonight. Again, if you're watching us here on My 24, as many of you are, come on down to Karma Bar and Grill, 600 East Ogden for the post party. TNA, Ring of Honor talents. See, I'm even confused. Ring of Honor talents are going to be in attendance, and Linda Kay's there as well. Is she handing out shots again? She doing the whole shot girl thing with the little skirt?
Of course she is.
She's going to be. Now, how is she going to skip around with that tray? Does she have that kind of balance?
She has tremendous balance.
It's time now, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's comedy segment that is known as Star of the Week. David Hero, run with it.
This week's PWR Star of the Week is the brand new TNA World Impact Wrestling Heavyweight Champion
of the world,
Austin Aries, the man from Milwaukee, went to Brookfield High School, locally homegrown, trained partially by the very menacing, the evil, dastardly Angel Armani, formerly known as Colonel Blatnick. But so this week's PWR Star of the Week, TNA Impact Wrestling Heavyweight World Champion, Austin Aries. Congratulations.
That could be the best pick you've had since you made Cody Rhodes Star of the Week a few months back.
I think that the Beaker pick was pretty good too.
That's this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night. Want to remind you, tune in to us online Wednesdays, pwrshow.com, where you can see another edition of the Pro Wrestling Report primetime, where we will be going over our top 5 moments in the history of WWE Monday Night Raw in celebration of next week's 1,000th episode of Raw. So you can check that out online. For that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night.